Okay, so we got a weird one. So this is the beginning of a 6 puzzle cluster from, this is wrong actually, from 29 to 35, but we're just gonna do 29, 30 today, okay? Lemi oy, lemi avoy, lemi midyanim, lemi siach, lemi petzaim, chinam, lemi chachlilos einayim. So this is a riddle, okay? 6 questions. All right, so let's try to translate those first of all.
Oy is like oy.
Yeah.
Or whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you say lemi?
To me.
To whom?
Oh,
me.
right.
Yeah. To whom?
Please.
Yeah. To whom? Let's just say oy. Okay. And the only reason I'm saying oy is because woe, I feel like in English is much more of a like tragedy, sorrow type reaction, whereas oy, we'll have to see. Okay, lemi avoy.
To whom?
So have you heard people say?
It's my father.
No. Have you heard people say oy vavoy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So this is the avoy. Okay. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to figure out what all these things mean. Okay. Lemi midyanim.
To whom are the Midianites?
No, that is sometimes what it means. Yeah, conflicts. Okay, right? Conflicts or wait, did you do yesterday, Isaac? Did it have this word in it?
17.
No, it didn't.
Oh, it didn't. Okay. What am I thinking of?
We've done some in this year. I don't know if it was this year.
What word did your pasuk have in it? Riv. Yeah. So this is a synonym. Yeah. All right. Conflicts or quarreling, right? Quarrels. Okay. All right. Oh, hold on a second. These should have question marks after them. Okay. So to whom oy, to whom avoid, to whom quarrels. All right. That's actually not in quotation marks. To whom quarrels. Okay. Lemi siach.
Conversations.
Okay. Yeah.
Conversing.
Conversation. Yeah. Conversation. Lemi petzaim.
Wounds, I think.
Wounds. Yep. Chinam. Sorry. Petzaim chinam.
Wounds?
Free wounds. Yeah. What's the other way for chinam? Like sinas chinam.
I thought it's baseless.
Yeah, baseless or I'd say needless. Probably what my assumption would be here. Needless wounds. Lemi chachlilus einayim. Okay. To whom? Oh, is this in this week's parsha?
Yes,
Yeah.
Redness of eyes.
Yeah, redness of eyes. Redness of eyes. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So what's the answer? Lama achrim. Yeah.
Because it's also
right. Exactly. Lama achrim al hayayin labayim lachkor mimasach. Okay. So the first half is easier to translate. What does ma'acher mean?
So it goes after.
Okay. So that it is used that way. I don't know if it's used that way in biblically, but I'm not sure. Actually, hold on. Let's look at the Metzudas here. Okay, so first of all, let's confirm our translations. Siach is Indian dibor. Okay, so dibor kamo ye'arav alai sichli. Okay, let's just say speech. Okay, just to keep it general here. Petzaim is makos hamotzios dam. Wounds. Okay, that I think our translation is good here. Chachlilus is admimus, is redness. Oh yeah, it's right there. Kamo chachlil inay miyayin. Lema'achrim miloshen achor ve'ikuv. So achor and ikuv. Ikuv, you really know. To get held back. Okay, so how do you say it? Ma'achrim ahayayin. To those who are
held back by wine.
Okay, yeah. Let's say I would say if I had to come up with one English word that has achor and ikuv, it'd be delayed, right? Delayed by wine. Okay. Labaim mimasach. So masach, Metzudas, lachkor. Thank you. Lachkor mimasach. So Metzudas ציון says it's in meziga. Who taruva samayim biyayin kamo masecha yena. So it's the mixing of water into wine, which they would do to like dilute it to make it drinkable. So, but lachkor is weird, right? To the labaim lachkor, to those who baim lachkor.
Come to seek out.
To what did you say, David?
Look at, but I said seek out.
Seek out. Let's see. I think you could say seek out, but investigate, I think, is probably a better likelihood here. To investigate, yeah, mimasach, from mixed wine. Okay, that's how Metzudas David is taking it. Okay, all right. So that's the riddle and the answer. Okay, so let's see here. Sadigon just says roof roof. Is that, I don't know if you have for a dog. Let's see what roof roof is. I have no idea what roof roof is. Roof roof. Fun word. Rough. Reef roof. Hovering, glancing, or browsing. Roof. So yeah. So he's learning it not as redness, but as glancing of eyes. Glancing of eyes. Okay, fine. That's how you go.
For me myself, do we not want to take that as like a screen or something, to like trying to look through a screen? I know
That yeah, right. That is that you're right. That is how I would like a mesach, like masecha. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, we'll see if anyone says this. Because there are so many terms here that are like that we need to look in the dictionary for in Jastro, I'm just going to skip over the Targum for the time being, just it's too intense right now. Let's look at our English translations here. We have okay, so this is I'm gonna expect to see some variety here. Our scroll says, who cries alas? Who cries woe? Who is contentious? Who prattles? Okay, prattles is a good word, right? Prattles is like yammer on and on and on. Who is wounded for naught, right? Wounded for no reason. Whose eyes are red? And then the answer, those who linger, actually linger is actually a good one. Who linger over wine. Yeah. Linger over wine, I think I like better. Those who linger over wine, because I think delayed makes it sound unintentional, but ma'acher al yain could mean intentional or not. So lingering could be either way. Those who come to inquire over mixed drinks. Yeah. I also don't know. I think when we think of mixed drinks, I think we think of like cocktails of hard alcohol, but I don't think that's what Masak was. I don't know if they even had hard alcohol back then. I know they had shechar and they had like wine, but so I don't want to use mixed drinks because that has like a different connotation in our society.
Wine and water?
Yeah, it's wine and water. Yeah, yeah. It's really like it's drinkable wine, but like also, well, the Mazika had two purposes, right? One was for drinkability, the other was for taste. Because like on at the Seder with the Dalakosis, you are mosaic the kos like Lafi Das Shasias Das Arev or something like that, like is to make it a pleasant drinking. Okay, fine, that's our scroll. Living Nach says, to whom woe, to whom grief. Yeah, see what I mean by like oi and vavoy are like very, we'll have to figure those out. To whom strife. Okay, strife is another good one. I'm gonna put strife here.
Is that the same as like oi vavoy?
Yeah, that's exactly it. See,
Oh my God.
He's got it. Yeah. I always assumed that was a Yiddish phrase, but avoy is a thing. Yeah, and not if you can use it with ahoy, which is what a sailor says. To whom wounds without cause, to whom bleary eyes. Bleary is also good. To those who linger over wine, to those who test the mix. Okay, so he's saying whoever he is, living off is saying Hakira is to test or like to discern. Yeah, so alternatively, to those who test the mix of wine. I think it's definitely a wine though. Okay, Alter says, for whom alack, for whom alas, for whom strife, for whom complaint, for whom needless wounds, for whom bloodshot eyes. Bloodshot is a good one. Yeah. Okay. Bloodshot. Actually, you know what? Okay, I think because in the bracha, it's clearly being used in a good way, right? Whereas bloodshot seems to be like not good. I think let's just go bloodshot eyes here. To whom bloodshot eyes. That's a good one. For those who linger over wine, who come to try mixed drink. Okay, so that's testing also. And then Alter in his commentary says, for whom I forget, is it interrogative or interrogative? I don't know, phrase, which could equally be rendered as who has, that's how we translated it kind of, begins an extended riddle form. Only at the end of the second line here, with reference to bloodshot eyes, is there an explicit hint that the object of all these mishaps is the drunkard, whose identity is then spelled out in the next verse. Yeah, and by the way, just to show you the rest of the cluster here, the rest of the cluster is all about wine. I used to, in high school, when I taught this in high school, I used to save these for Purim. These are the Purim pesukim here, because this is the most, I mean, there's lots of pesukim about drunkenness, but this is like all these pesukim here have to do with wine or
We
drunkenness.
should save this for prom.
Yeah, no, I want to finish the 23 if we can. All right, so that is that. All right, so
Can you just keep up the pasuk break in the translation?
yeah. Yeah, hold on just 1 second. Oops, 30. And this is 29. Yeah, I think the questions are going to be pretty straightforward. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, I mean, the question is like, all right, so what?
Okay,
I
so
mean, like, okay, so what do we do with this information? It's like, who are we actually talking to over here? It's like,
okay, well, I
to
feel like
me-
those are 3 different
to me,
questions.
it seems like a drunk guy. I'm like, what do you do? It's like a neba. What do you do with the neba? You know, like,
Okay, I mean,
That's what it
so who is the audience? Seems to be your predominant question here. Okay, who is the audience?
and what do you do?
Okay, if this is a drunkard, right? So how like in the grips of his addiction is he, right? In other words, like there's definitely a point. I mean, I don't know what they thought back then, but there definitely is a point where Mishlei is not going to help you with an addiction, right? So the question is, where's the Mishleic threshold where you can, like, in other words, there's a difference between alcohol abuse and alcoholism. Alcoholism is, at least by modern standards, classified as like a disease, you know, and has its own dynamics, whereas alcohol abuse is someone who could be like a binge drinker. It could be someone who like just, you know, is using it to escape, but could stop if the circumstances were right. So like, we got to find that threshold. So I'm going to ask that question here. Where is the Mishleic threshold? Where is the Mishleic threshold? There's always 2 H's in there. I always get confused by that. Oh no, there's 1 H. I always get it wrong. Yeah, Chaim and then Isaac. Yeah.
It's two questions.
Yeah.
One is lingering over wine and investigating for mixed wine 2 different things?
Okay, yeah. So is the person in I guess those are 2 activities. No, those are people, right? So are the 2 people, are the 2 activities described in pasuk lamed being done by the same person? Are they the same activity or different activities?
Right, and then my second question is, how do the causes?
Starting to sound like I was. Am, yeah.
How do the causes from 30 cause all these different things? And, like,
Yeah.
that kind of gets into like if they're 2 different activities.
Okay.
Then like do certain ones cause like.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bust out the general question here, which is, what is the relationship between Chaftes and Lamed? Okay, in other words, like, for example, okay, why couldn't you swap Chachlilus Einayim and Ma'acharim al Hayayin, right? In other words, like, you know, we are describing the same person, so to speak, you know, seemingly, right? So like, what makes us put some of these qualities in the question pasuk and some of these in the answer pasuk, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, could you have learned the idea with just pasuk lamed?
Hold on a second. And some in the A. Okay, and then the question is like,
No, actually, you can't.
yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah. Isaac was next, and then Oren.
2 definition questions. What are oi and avoy?
Okay, I think we just should ask what are the definitions of the 6 qualities in Chaftes, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna specifically call out oi, avoy, and siach.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think all 6 though, right? I don't think any of them. Are.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'll say especially oi and va'avoy and avoy. Yeah,
I think also siach. Okay, yeah, and then
because in other words, siach, pitzayim, chinam, and chalilus and are all things you can see or like sense. Oi is expressing an internal state, and avoy is also expressing an internal state. So we don't know what the guy's reacting to, you know. So I feel like there's more ambiguity in those 2 than the other ones.
okay, yeah. Well, I have a kind of a separate sub question.
Okay.
Which is It's like I'd say, like the generic definition of siach doesn't seem to be a bad thing. You know?
Right.
We're having
Right.
siach right now. You know, like you know.
Oh
And
no.
we're not
Get a
like-
breathalyzer. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Siach does not seem to be bad. So I'll list that as a sub question. I think siach doesn't usually have a bad connotation, right? Usually it's either neutral or it is good, right? Like siach is lasuch basadeh, lifnos arav is Yitzchak's tefillah. Ma'ahavti torsacha kol yom hisichasi is the crowning pasuk in Sefer Ahava from Tehillim 119. Yeah. So those are all like good things. Yeah. Okay, Oren.
I just have a methodology question that you
Someone's
probably
making
answered.
good
before I
smelling
came.
coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, is that this? Okay, yeah.
You probably answered this before I came. I apologize if so. Why are we divorcing this from the later pesukim, which I think probably.
Because I think it is too much to tackle on one shot.
Okay, how do we deal with the fact that I do think that these later pesukim might answer the question?
So the way we deal with that is the way we've dealt with any of these local clusters, which is we take it one at a time and we learn on its own with an eye to how it fits into the entire cluster.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that we have to do it this way. Like I think there is an argument for saying that you're better off tackling the entire thing all in one shot. But I feel like for me, that's too overwhelming right now. So I'd rather take it this way. Yeah.
What's the situation?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the same as who's the audience, but
Yeah, it might be the question. Yeah, it might be. I'm going to add that to the audience question. I think that's is this addressing a particular situation?
yeah, it sounds like like I could think of like several reasons why, putting like alcoholism aside.
Yeah.
I could think of like several reasons why someone would get drunk, because he's in a bad mood,
Right.
or like he got divorced,
Right.
or like some extreme. And is this coming to warn you from alcoholism, or is this coming to just
Right. So I think I think let's add our practical advice question also, and to what extent is this intended as particular advice for that situation, right? In other words, definitely you walk away with this with a message that like this type of relationship to alcohol is bad, right? But the question is Shlomo like being more specific in his talking?
Yeah, it sounds like this is how like someone who drinks is viewed,
Right. That's another good point. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to actually, the first question you asked, I think it should be its own question, which is what is so bad about these things, right? Like what are the consequences, right?
Yeah.
And now you could say what Oren said, which is that maybe the consequences are not really spelled out until the other pesukim. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to deviate from the normal pattern here. I'm just going to give a superficial translation of these other pesukim, just so we can have them in mind. Obviously, when we learn them in depth, then we can go translate the way we usually do. This is very, very strange one. Al tera yain ki yis adam. Do not look at wine when it is becoming red. Ki yitin bakos eno yishalach b'meisharim. Because when you put your eye onto the kos, then yishalech. When he puts his eye onto the kos, he will walk in upright paths. Okay, that's strange, right? Achariso kenachash yishach ukatzif oni yafrish. Its end is like, I think it's its end. Its end is like a snake that bites, like a fiery snake that yafrish. I don't know yafrish here. I mean, I would guess it comes from the word poresh, which is to separate, but I don't know. Yafrish. Sting. There's probably sting here, right? Like it'll sting like a tzifoni, which I think is another type of a snake or some sort of venomous creature. Inecha yuruzaros, his eyes will see strange things. And his heart will speak duplicities. V'hayisa keshochev b'lev yam. He switches to second person. No, sorry. This is also second person. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will speak duplicities. You will be like one who lies in the heart of the ocean, and one who lies down on the top of a mast. Okay, I guess of a ship. Hikuni bal what?
It's in the pilot.
Yeah, that's why he's saying ahoy. Yeah, hikuni bal halisi halumi bal yadati. I think this means you will be stricken and you will not fall. You will be battered and you will not know. Masai akits. When will you wake up, or when will I wake up? Or sorry, maybe this is hikuni. They struck me, but I did not fall. Halamuni. They battered me and I did not know. Masai akits. When will I wake up? Osif avakshenu od. I will continue to seek it more. So it is painting a portrait of this personality. So I think we will have to flesh this out a little bit more. But I think another justification for taking these two pesukim is it does ask the question, and then this is like the first way that it identifies this person. So I feel like, I don't know if this is going to be like a chronological thing that it starts off this way and then he ends up becoming someone like that, or this is just the more prominent, I feel like we do have a basis for like starting with this.
Yeah, it's like you're identifying who the guy is. So it sounds
Right.
the sixth thing.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why I went here in the first place is because it does sound like, at least in 32, 33, 34, and 35 are describing consequences. So it's possible that our pesukim are not even talking about consequences. Right, it might just be still identifying the thing, right? If
29 is are not consequences.
Well, let's put it this way: 30. Yeah, you're right. I guess 29.
What is that characteristic?
Pitsaim and midyanim seem to be consequences, right? But it's framing it as identifying factors, like diagnostic factors.
So
right?
What was the consequences?
Is the conflicts? No one wants conflicts. No one wants needless wounds. Right? Bloodshot eyes. Is that a consequence? I think that's up for debate. Speech.
Isn't that like a characteristic of someone who's like a drunkard?
It could also be a characteristic, but I'm saying that it also does seem to be a consequence that is undesirable. Like no one wants to be wounded needlessly, right? Oh, you know what? That's another question, by the way.
That's just yeah.
Right, it's a consequence and it's an identifying factor. Yeah, I also want to say who is being wounded, right? The drunkard or the bystanders? Yeah. Chaim?
Yeah, similar question. Who's in conflict and who's he fighting with?
Yeah.
Like, is it
Who
himself? Is it like internal?
is he in conflict with? Yeah.
Okay, two things. One, do we ask if this is two different people or one person?
I think we did on 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. And then the second thing is, where are each of these people coming from? Because especially, well, it sounds like, so who's the audience?
Yeah.
One of them seems like possible that seems like we've already had like a well-established relationship. But that sounds like someone who's just interested. He's not actually he's
Right.
not like down the drain yet. He just like, oh, this looks interesting.
Yeah.
What is this about?
Right.
So I'm wondering where that guy's coming from. And then from that also, are these more than same consequences of just involving yourself in the ayin altogether, whether or not you're actually like fully in it? Because loving the Lachbar seems like he's really not.
Okay, that's one interpretation of Lachum Sach, but I want to just, can you reframe what you mean by where is he coming from and how that's a different question than who is this?
Okay, so what I mean by, okay, where is he coming from is, what is his interest in wine here? Why is he going wine altogether?
Okay, so let's just say here, what is compelling this person or these people to turn to wine? Yeah. Okay. I feel like those are our main questions here. Yeah.
Just on that third goal.
Yeah.
Like who's being wounded? Also, who's doing the wounding?
Yeah. And who is doing the wounding?
The bartender.
The bouncer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All righty. That's quite a thing. Okay. So what do we say here? So you're already taking a stance on I feel like we have to take a stance on 30, whether this is the same person or these are two categories of people, right?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by two people?
Well, David was saying Ma'achim al Yain sounds like you know,
He's gone.
he's already involved in a lot of drinking, and he's like staying late or being detained, whereas the other guy is like just interested in it. Another interpretation I have of Laban Lachor Musach is it could be investigating from mixed wine, which is that instead of sitting down to like have a conversation about something sober, they're doing it over wine, meaning that they are drinking from wine, but they're doing their chakiras through the wine. Yeah.
The wine parties.
Yeah, like the wine parties, right?
So you're giving perm Torah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I guess the question is, what are they investigating? Right. Let me just add that here.
Just on that.
Hold on, I thought we did, just a second. I thought we did. Oh, yeah. Here we go. What is the object of lachkor? Lachkor. Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah. Can you say like who it is? Like, can you say that it could be speaking of both people?
Yeah, it could
Like
be.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This could be, one person, two people, two facets of the same thing. Yeah.
There's another question.
Yeah.
29, is that in like a specific order? Like, I'm trying to make sense of it. And
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. And let's also ask about the style, right? Are the items in 29 in a specific order? Okay, and then what, if anything, do we I guess, can we explain the need for a riddle format? Right. It's not, it is a category in Mishlei, but not one that we've seen a lot. So I don't have like a theory about it. Yeah.
Can I give
Yeah, sure.
somewhat of an approach?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the first half of the puzzle because identifying the individual,
Yeah.
and each one is a characteristic trait
Okay.
of that person. And so I think it could be talking about both parties, someone who's thinking about it, or someone who's in it, but the person who's in it is really talking about the person viewing that person.
I didn't quite follow that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's talking about the person.
When you say in it, you mean like someone who's like,
someone who's a drunkard,
Right.
or well, I'm going to use alcoholism. Someone who's is an alcoholic is talking about the person viewing it.
Okay.
Viewing that person.
all right,
talking to or talking about?
Talking to the person.
to the person who's viewing the person who's
Yeah. Because I don't think you can help a guy who's in alcoholism. You know,
Okay.
It's more into the and the person who is just like a drunkard,
Yeah.
or whatever, or someone's thinking about being acting in this nature. I think it could be the same person.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I
I'm gonna shoot it down, but yeah, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think it's shoot it down.
Yeah. Go ahead though.
All right. Fine. So,
Get it out on the table.
So I think I think you could be talking about that person also to let him know, like, look, this is the path that you're going. You should probably avoid this path.
Okay, so I'm only shooting down the notion that it's talking to someone who can't help it. Actually, no, maybe we can salvage it. I'll say what I was going to say, and then so definitely by pasuk, it is interesting. He talks about in this progression here, 29, 30, 31, and 32 are in third person. Okay, 33 and 34 are in second person, and then 35 is in first person. Okay, so he is talking. So what I was going to shoot down is I was going to say he is definitely talking to somebody about the effects of wine in 33 and 34. Now, you could say, and maybe this is what you're saying the whole time, is that it's pointing out a person who is so far gone in alcoholism that he can't help it, and then it's warning a person who is prone to becoming a drunkard by pointing to that guy as an example. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so that approach I would be
Yeah.
open to, right? In
Yeah.
other words, somewhere in this cluster has to be someone who can help his relationship to alcohol, right?
I think someone look. I think that person is someone who just drinks, once in a while, but for one time he has these traits, whatever. But like, he's not like immersed in the activity of drinking alcohol,
Yeah,
whatever,
I
but
hear.
it's just like a warning for that guy.
Okay,
If someone who's
yeah.
like an actual alcoholic, like
Right.
that takes a lot more than just
Right,
someone
right,
who's, like,
definitely.
honestly,
Yeah, I hear.
it takes rehab. Okay, so for the approach, I think maybe you could say that it's actually never mind. I forgot.
Okay, I think that's a good start though. I think that's a good approach. Yeah, let's go Isaac and then Oren.
Yeah, so I think Chavtes is painting a picture of the person rather than trying to point out like specific consequences. I mean, I think these are real consequences of of a person who whatever this is. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying it's you see a person who like it's like like this guy, he's got oi and avoy, he's got fights, he's got like wounds appearing on him, he's got bloodshot eyes, and who is this person? The person in Lamed. So like let's say let's say like the wounds, there is a specific way that he's getting the wounds,
Right.
but maybe he's because he picked a fight or something, and he's getting injured, or because he's stumbling drunkenly and he scrapes himself, like there is a way that it happens, but it's like I think it's not focusing on the specific cause and effect of each of these things. It's saying this is like what this is like this is the I think it's like painting like a picture of what this person's like.
Right. So I think this is what you're saying is a good support for Ariel's approach, which is that let me show you just another example of this genre of Mishlei pasuk. What is the Mahalech? Oh, I thought it says this twice. Hold on. Oh no, it's what's the folding of the hands? How does that pasuk go in
it's Yadayim Lishkov, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'll try that one. Yeah, I want the latter one here. Okay, yeah. So it says this is an example in Mishlei 24:33. It says al sedei ish altel avarti al kerem adam chasar lev. By the field of a lazy man I passed by the field of a lazy man, and by the vineyard of a person who lacks mind. V'hine ala kulo kimshonim kasu fanav harulim v'geder avanav neharasa. And behold, it was all covered up in brambles, its face was covered with thorns, and the fence of stones was broken down. I saw, I applied my mind, and I took discipline from it. And then it says holding my sleep. So this is like a technique that Shlomo Melech uses, where he draws your mind to envision a portrait of something, and then like tells you the idea. So like that fits in with what Isaac's saying, which is that it's painting a picture, but then also fits in with what Ariel's saying, is that it's painting this very vivid. We all know, if not from real life, then at least from the movies, what like a drunkard looks like, and we know, and these things have like very powerful emotional connotations. Like, let's say you see the guy walks in, to work with a black eye, and you're like, how'd you get that black eye? It's like, well, I got into a fight at the bar, or like the bloodshot eyes, bad night, oh, hangover, like it's like it's evoking this entire like image, and then he takes that image and then gives you all the musar in the pesukim 31 through 35. Yeah, Oren.
Yeah. So I just want to explain. I don't know. It's sort of an approach, I guess, to these two pesukim.
Yeah.
So first, I will start with who this guy is.
Okay.
I don't think so. It's not an alcoholic,
Right.
But it's not just like anyone. I think it's a very specific kind of person. But I think it probably applies to a lot of people, or maybe most people are this guy at some times.
Okay.
Where it's somebody who like, I'll imagine like a Shabbos meal, they're not viewing the meal, or they're not viewing the wine as a way to enjoy the meal. They're viewing the meal as just like a setting in which they can have wine.
Right.
So the whole way they're viewing the situation is just really about the wine, and so they're hyper fixated on it. They're lingering over it.
Right.
And when you're like pouring the wine, they're investigating it. They're constantly looking at the wine, being like, when's it going to come out? When's it going to be served?
Yeah.
And then when they have it, they're just ready to like drink it. They're just like eyeing it during Kiddush.
Right. Which fits in. I don't know if this is where you're getting it from, but the pasuk about warning you about how to look at wine or how not to look at wine. Don't look at wine when it's becoming red. I don't know what that means, but like that would seem to fit into this type of like, this thing.
So I think it's this kind of person. This isn't necessarily somebody who's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I think it's just somebody who has a slightly unhealthy relationship with wine.
Okay.
And so it's like if you see yourself here, like stop now.
Right. Okay. So we have, just to summarize here, we have three possibilities as to who we're talking about. Okay. One is we're talking about the alcoholic who cannot control his relationship to alcohol, but we're not talking to him. We're talking to the guy who is prone to alcohol abuse. Okay. Second possibility is we're talking to the person who is not an alcoholic, but he's prone to alcohol abuse, like as a pattern of behavior, like as a default thing. And then the lightest possibility is we're talking about a person who, in a given situation, might be prone to this. I think it's like these are, I don't want to call it quantitative differences because it's not like alcoholic is not a quantitative difference of between someone who abuses alcohol, but in terms of like severity, there's like, how far into this problem are we here? Has this problem taken over your life? Has this, in a way that you can't control anymore? Is this problem like taking over your life in a way where you can control it? Or are you just very, very prone to giving into scenarios where you're going to fall into this mode?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Just on the two pesukim together, I think the reason why it's sort of ordered like this is because it starts out like saying all these bad things, and so you're like, oh, who's that horrible guy?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be this dude.
Yeah.
And then it tells you, oh, it's this guy who's hyper fixated on wine. And you're like, oh shoot, that might.
Yeah, right. I was thinking of the same thing with the David HaMelech in that perek we did in Tehillim of the or is in the Navi, but the parable of the guy with the sheep, and David gets all worked up, and then he's like, Ata ha'ish, you're that guy, So it's definitely. I think we have two good candidates for the riddle format. One is just to evoke the picture. The other thing also is like, sometimes if you present the picture in a more or less neutral way, and then you deliver the message, then it's more effective. Whereas if you go into it with the message, then like you're already like shutting off the audience into a certain way of thinking. So either it is like for the painting of the picture, or it's for the delivery of like the blow up, like, oh shoot, that's me, Yeah.
Should we explain that more, like in detail?
I think it'll be explained more when we get the idea. But
well, I mean, the 6 things that he points out over there.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like that at least definitely couplets and speech.
Yeah.
And needless wounds. That seems something, and maybe bloodshot eyes. And it sounds like something that like you want to avoid.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So
also.
What was that? Yeah, oi. Yeah, no one wants to be in a situation where they say oi, right? Yeah. Even though we don't know what that is. Let's do this because we have 5 minutes ish. Let's read through the Metzudas David just so we have some working picture of the whole pasuk, and then we'd always come back to this with our own theories tomorrow. Okay, so we are at the Metzudas David, bottom right. Wrong page here. Okay, here we go. No, that's the Rinach Mias. No, bottom left. No, yeah, bottom left. Lemi oi. Lemi miyuchad sa'akas oy va'avoy. Okay, so he takes them together. So to whom is uniquely characterized by the outcry of oy va'avoy, v'hem sa'akas yalala. This is an outcry of crying, right? Of like yalala, like we know it from shofar, right? Yeah. Midyanin is din umriva imanashim. That's arguments and quarrels with people. Okay, so this is not like internal conflict. This is a interpersonal conflict. Siach rotlamar ribui dvarim. So that's where our scroll got traveling, right? Is talking on and on. Below haskel uvlo seder, without any intelligence or order, right? No rhyme or reason. Oh, that actually fits in, right? Well, not rhyme, but okay, whatever. If you're talking in rhymes, maybe that's an indication you've had too much alcohol. All right. Then P'tsaim Chinam is needless wounds. Derech hashikur lehiskotet v'liftsoa b'chavera. Okay, so he's saying it's the way of a drunkard to get into fights and to wound his friend. And then his friend will go back and wound him. And it will appear as though he got wounded for no reason. This guy who wounded first, meaning the drunkard, didn't do it intentionally. He was confounded by his wine, right? So in other words, it was needless in the sense that it could have been avoided. It's just he wasn't thinking, so he wounded this guy. This is the case in the bar where the drunken guy like accidentally like bumps into someone, and then the guy, and then he hits him. Yeah,
It's a bar fight.
yeah, it's a bar fight, right? Right, so it's redness of the eyes from a lot of wine drinking. There's got to be some physiological reason that the alcohol leads to that, right?
Is that a thing?
Capillaries,
I thought
yeah.
it was always weed.
That might be true, but I don't think they had that back then. Not in Israel. I don't know.
I think they did.
Did they? Okay, I have no idea. I don't want to get into that discussion. And this is what do you call it? This is a disgraceful thing, right? So this is to differentiate it from the bracha, right? Because in the bracha, it's a good thing. Okay. So then the last one is lama'achrim. Kol hadarim ela, all these things. Miuchadim hima lama'achrim sheba al lama'achrim shebes al yain. To people who linger in sitting over wine, ulahabaim lachkor achar hayain shemizigasu yafa, and people who come to inquire after wine that is mixed well. So that does not really give us much information to go on there.
What was that? I'm sorry.
All of these things are unique or specific to those who prolong their sitting over wine and who come to inquire after wine that is mixed well. So that to me sounds like people who are looking for good quality wine, like they might be doing for ulterior motives to get drunk, but they're looking for like the high quality wine. In other words, we're not talking about people who want to do shots. Right, we're talking about people who are looking for the expensive, the finer things in life type attraction to wine. That's at least the second half of 30. The first half is unclear.
Why do they want
I
quality?
was thinking also, not exactly what you're just saying at the very end there. This being someone who's like interested in exploring the different effects of different things that could be happening from wine, either like maybe even at the end having like nice wine, but at the very least, just interested in seeing different things that could happen. And then just like a warning, like you don't need to try it out. Like I'll just tell you it's not good.
Or you can watch other people.
Yeah.
One part. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I said, why do they need good quality wine if they're drunk? Like,
No, so that's what I'm saying is that I think these are the Metzudas David. To me, you could read him as saying two different people, right? Basically, you could look at it as quantity or quality, right? Like people who are just staying late, drinking lots of wine, or people who are like very into really, really fine wines. Which is an interesting thing, by the way, is that I do think that when it comes to taiva, those are two different expressions of taiva, and they're not just unique to wine, but like there are people who are hedonists who express their hedonism by excessive indulgence in lots of the pleasure, regardless of the quality. And then there are the people who are like trying to get the best of it, but both of them are equally attached to the pleasure, The only thing is that like it's unclear to me why. I get how having lots of wine is going to lead to these 6 symptoms. The people who are looking for wine that's mixed well, seems you're only going to get these if you still are getting drunk, though. That's interesting.
I was thinking that it's possible to say that the second group of people is like after the first group, meaning like once you're like a party guy or whatever, you try and you just drink everything. And it's like, no, I will refine myself.
Yeah.
And, I'll only seek after the finer.
Right.
So it could just be I don't know.
Like the evolution of
Similar explanation. Could it just mean that it means like mixed more strong?
I don't think so, because I think the default state of the wine that they drank was extremely strong. So mezigaso yafe, mixed well, means that it's going to taste good, or it's going to be a quality. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you were here. You came after I quoted that, because it's a halacha by. Let me just actually read the halacha, because never pass up an excuse to go to the Rambam in Mishlei. In Hilchos Chametz Matzah, chapter 7, by the Daled Kosos, he says, or is it chapter 8? Oh no, I think it's actually chapter 8. Yeah, it's chapter 8. He says, I think it's chapter 8. We'll end with this. Oh yeah, here we go. Arba kosos elus is in chapter 7, halacha 9. Arba kosos elus tzarich limzo gosan. You need to mix these 4 cups. Kadeshatiya shasia areva, so that it will be a pleasant drinking, a pleasurable drinking. Hakolafi hayayin, all based on the wine. Ufi das hashos, and according to the preferences of the drinker. So I think the mixing so that it's good is like referring to the taste, not the strength. Yeah, it's like diluting would be the best word for it. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop here. Tomorrow we can continue like exploring our approaches, but I also want to look at some other ones. I'm really curious. I don't know if we're gonna have time for this. Maybe we should continue this into Friday, but I really want to see what the Derek Nisser is going to be, if this is about Chochmah or Torah, right? Because we've seen the Meiri talk about that before, that wine. Remember we have the thing about like guzzling wine is people who like plunge into the pleasurable areas of learning without like proper order. So I wonder if he's going to take that here.
Without doing the kiss.
Yeah, without doing the PS. Okay, all right, have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.